Yeah. Well, all right. So Spider-Verse, #1 this week once again. But that's great. But we don't want to talk about the good things here. We're gonna have to talk about the bad things. Which, what I said earlier, it complicates my relationship with this movie because like it was a great movie and a wonderful movie. But then you see what happened to the people that worked on it. And you're like, but at what fucking cost?
Right.
And this is we've talked about. This is the problem when these properties when these big companies have these properties, and then they just treat they don't treat people like people. They treat them as you are a cog in the machine, and you will do as I say. Is like you're this fucking robot. So some animators that worked on Spider-Verse. This is from The Verge. I think it was originally in. Variety, but there was a report of some people that spoke out about the movie. So some animators were, quote, pushed to work more than 11-hour days, 7 days a week at certain points.
That's fucked up.
Fuck you, man. People have lives, and people have a right to be with their friends or their family. Like, and, fuck you.
Yeah. Do animators not have a union?
No. Shit. No, you know what's funny? The more I read this, I'm like, visual effects artists and animators need to fucking unionize, and they need to strike. Matter of fact, shut the whole fucking thing down. And you know what? Hollywood's getting there at this point. And you're just like saying, Jake, how you love movies? And blah, blah. I'm like, no. Here's the thing. Everything's got a limit, and that limit is a human cost. If there's human cost that comes into anything that I enjoy or any piece of thing of it, anything, that's the limit. We need to fucking push back and stop. Stop. Because you know who controls this shit? And this is why I support the strikes, and this is why I think they should strike. Because you know who controls it? Not fucking Amy Pascal, not fucking Bob Iger, or some stupid fucking David Zaslav. You do. Because you're the artist. They're just giving you money. They have no fucking artistic ability.
Can I offer a counterpoint? You said if there's a human cost, then it's not worth it. Did you enjoy the Lord of the Rings movies?
Yes.
Did you know that when Aragorn kicked his helmet in the first one, that he actually hurt his foot?
Yeah.
That's human cost. Shit. And you still like that.
Fuck. And I buy Nike. And they have sweatshops.
Killed like 4 horses on that fucking set.
My point is, if that means I can't watch fucking TV, like new content or new TV or whatever, new streaming, so be it.
This is where I rock because I can
watch old shit all the time.
Over and over again. I can watch news radio. I can watch Just Shoot Me. I can watch Rules of Engagement.
Dude, I got a PlayStation 5. I can fucking play
Rules of Engagement is really problematic.
I can play D&D.
A lot of ways.
No, but more on this Spider-Verse stuff. I had to get on a soapbox there because I am kind of sick of it. I am sick of seeing these reports of people being mistreated because these companies are too fucking lazy. Hey, Marvel, maybe hire an animation studio so you don't have to, or maybe work with some of these studios and bring them in-house and do like you did with Pixar and buy these fucking studios so they have the resources so they're not constantly bidding and you're going outside sources. Oh, wait, they want to save money because these billion-dollar companies need to save fucking money. So anyway, according to a number of... This also bothers me a little bit. According to a number of artists who contributed to the movie, that the working conditions were made to operate under during the film's production were unsustainable, erratic, and largely the result of producer Phil Lord frequently overriding across the Spider-Verse's 3 directors in order to make endless last-minute changes. Which is troubling, because I like Phil Lord and Chris Miller. See, I think it's because... Now, they worked on the Lego movie, but... I think most of their stuff is live action.
Yeah.
And I think that's a problem when people are used to making live action movies versus animated because, as we've talked before...
Well, see, did we hear anything about animators on Lego Movie, or were they not big enough to make these kind of...
Well, they made a big deal when this came out that they hired literally thousands of artists to work on this movie. And hundreds of them quit because of working conditions. So
maybe that's why they hired thousands just in case.
I don't know. I don't know, man.
Ominous.
But still, having some of your I understand you have to hit a deadline, but crunch is not good, and
unless it's in a cereal.
Exactly. High five. Yeah, that's what you get. That's why you come to these shows.
That's
folks.
why you come to these shows. Hey, knock it off back there.
Quit it. Whatever you're doing.
Stop it.
I'll drink your blood.
Whoa, Alex.
Nice.
What's going on in that corner over there?
That's what's going down.
All I know is that anytime... Why is the corner with the golden tea machine always so rowdy? That's what I gotta ask. I just don't understand. Just creep, yeah.
So, I do. That would be my explanation. Is it's easier to make last minute changes and reshoots and things like that
Probably.
in live action.
Yeah.
Whereas animation, you have to plan everything out. You've got to go through, different layers of different animators who are doing a specific thing. So here's a quote from the person that worked on the movie. They are obviously in charge of directing, but if Phil has a note that contradicts their note, his note takes precedence. They have to do what Phil says. So this was the directors of the movie, by the way. So there were constant changes and cuts with Phil Lord.
They're referring to the
directors of the movie.
Yeah,
yes.
somebody else is
They
talking.
had to.
Just the way you said it, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, Phil Lord was the one who made the last decision. So with Phil Lord, nothing is ever final or approved. Nothing was really set in stone. Nothing is ever done. Everything was just endlessly moving beneath our feet because they wanted to be the best that it could be. End quote. Again, I think that is just... I understand creatively how that can be because it's hard, and you know this as well, it's hard to create something and then put it out in the wild because you go through so many changes and cuts and different ideas and different things, but at a certain point you can't... You just can't do that with animation. There's a reason that those Pixar, we've talked about it before. There's a reason those Pixar movies are so good, and why there's so many good, because it takes so long, and there's so much storyboarding and so much work, and then to constantly have that change, and then when you're told you have to go through revision after revision before of the final cut. When you got fucking Amy Pascal who strolls in and says, well, welcome to show business. When you say, hey, we can't keep working these hours, we can't keep changing these things. And she's just like, well, you got to get it done. And
I worked in TV in Denver for the Rockies organization, or for the Rockies TV station, Fox Sportsnet. And we had a national football show, NFL show for 1 year. And the reason why they moved it to Denver is because it was cheaper to produce in Denver. In California, there's all unions and everything. And my job on Thursday nights was to help the editors put together all of the clips of players and stuff for the next day for the show, right? Uh-huh. Now, the producer is there until 2, 3 in the morning, making sure that everything's getting done and whatnot. Then they'll show back up at like 8 or 9 in the morning or whatever when they have to actually record the stand-ins with the two talents, right? And then they edit everything else together, and they have to have that by 5 p.m. It was always last minute. Why? Because at some point during that night on Thursday, the producer would bug up their ass about changing something completely. Instead of this segment that we've worked on for the last 12 hours, I'm scrapping that, and we're going to start brand new on this other segment because this guy got in a car accident. Or, you know what? This guy got fired. Or this guy is having whatever, surgery. Like, just stupid shit like that. Now, don't get me wrong. These shows turned out fucking great.
yeah.
And the reason why is because that producer was never satisfied. I get that. But I wasn't one of the editors. All I did was I ran and got tape for them and queued up stuff so they wouldn't have to look for shit.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I need 3 shots of Christian McCaffrey. He wasn't playing at the time, but just example. I need 3 shots of Christian McCaffrey scoring a rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
So I would look in the books for all the games so far that year, and I would find those, and I would queue these tapes up, bring them to them, and go, here you go. So they could just pop them in and edit it out, right?
Yeah.
I didn't mind doing that at all because I always got to leave at like midnight because I was a freelancer. But if I had been one of those people, I would come back the next day and those editors had been there all night, awake, working. All night. They were still going to be working at 2 p.m. that afternoon. all the way up until we fed the fucking show to the national satellite to broadcast across the whole station.
Yep.
Up until that point. That's like 20 hours of straight up working. Again, I got to leave at midnight and come back the next day, man. I was fine. But if I wouldn't been one of those editors, they were always pissy.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them. So I am very, very, very well aware of how sometimes, like, I don't agree with this, and I don't necessarily agree with what happened in TV, but I understand.
Yeah, I do too.
Why.
To some
It's
extent.
just you have to draw a
Creatively,
line.
yeah.
You have to draw a line.
And you have to say, this is it. This is done. We can't keep, like, we can't do this.
Right.
We've gone this
And,
far.
you're
can't.
working on that show. You know you're going to start working at like 6 p.m. on Thursday, and you're not going to be done till probably 6 p.m. Friday. But you know what? You're probably not working Saturday and Sunday. And you're probably getting paid a lot more than I am. You know what I mean?
Well, and I
like,
think
there's
again,
pros and cons.
there's when you have to meet a deadline,
Right.
There's going to be crunch.
Yes.
Because there could always be last minute changes, last minute fixes, things can go wrong. I'm just saying, if there's a way to minimize it,
Of course.
in any way, that's what should be taken. And that's and a lot of these animators that were quite frankly exploited on this movie, because everybody gets exploited nowadays. They were saying that Sony is not going to hit that March release date of 2024, and you know what? If it means people don't go through crunch, delay the fucking movie.
I'm fine with Christmas
Delay it.
2024.
Delay it.
Why not? That's it.
You and I have talked about this. Most of the
We usually have to
time,
wait 2 years for a sequel.
most of the
for a
time,
live action
if
sequel.
something gets delayed, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because that gives these people more time to work on it, and that's all
We're
they
looking
need.
at you, Flash, you fucks.
No, that's different. With 9
years. We still can't.
Tyler!
Fucking yeah.
You know what time it is?
No. Off panel, off topic with Jake and Tyler.